Our conversation started on Friday evening. So that was less than half a day. And we're finishing today now, probably half a day. And yesterday we had a full day from the morning till night. I'm mentioning that because looking at this program, I've counted 22 sessions. Professor Flores raised this thing earlier. And sometimes you come to a conference like this, it's like when you go home, you feel like you've come from a whole series of consultations with doctors who said have so many pills in the morning and change in that and all of that. So in this day and a half and a bit, there's been a lot of knowledge that we've shared. I think the topics we've covered, I'm saying 22 different topics. Very talented people, very knowledgeable about each of the topics who've spoken. I really want to say thanks to everybody for their contributions. In a sense, it gets overwhelming. All these prescriptions and directives from the doctors, do this, do that, don't do the other. And I think one of the issues that arises is in terms of this very, very rich conversation, where does the conversation end up? What does it do? The question must arise. Because all of the important questions that are discussed during these 22 sessions are very, very important and very relevant to these questions about where does the Global South stand on whatever the issue? What inputs does the Global South want to make into the G20 processes? And so on. In the 90s, as part of the process of answering this question about what does the Global South do to advance its interests, in the 90s, the process which was led by, among others, the late Julius Nyerere, a very, very well-known African patriot, which led to the formation of what I think is a very important South-South institution. I'm talking about the South Center, which is placed in Geneva. As a think tank of the countries of the South. I'm mentioning this because the ambassadors of the South in Geneva, their daily task is to engage with the issues that we've been discussing here for this day and a half and a bit. Because there, as everybody knows, you got the WTO. So all of these matters that have got to do with global trade. What are the interests of the South with regard to trade matters globally? Where should we be? They are discussed in Geneva. So you got this, I'm saying these ambassadors of the South were all there in Geneva, and their task is to discuss these issues in a very practical way to negotiate with the global north. This is what we, the South, want to do, and so on. WHO is there. The Human Rights Council is there. A whole panoply of all of these organizations, of these global institutions. When India and South Africa decided in 2020 to ask for a waiver with regard to these intellectual property rights, so that the developing countries could produce their own vaccines to deal with the pandemic, the negotiations took place in Geneva. And the South Center had to again act as the think tank to support those processes, started by India and South Africa. I really am saying all of this to say I think it would be very, very good if processes of this kind that we've had fed into an organization like the South Center. The South Center all the time is looking for inputs from all other think tanks from the countries of the South to empower them to be able to discharge their responsibilities to the South Diplomatic Corps that is based in Geneva. I think it would also be very, very good for Brazil as it leads this G20 process to engage the South Center to say, what are the principal issues that you people are dealing with daily with the North? What are the urgent issues? What are the problematic ones? To help to formulate the agenda of the G20 in order to help the countries of the South in this daily struggle that goes on in Geneva about the matters we've been discussing here since we met. I'm saying that I don't think we should lose the richness that's been generated during the days that we've been here. Let it be part of the instrumentality that helps to change the world to address the challenges of the South. Let's empower these ambassadors of the South who are sitting in Geneva. I'm saying their daily task is to make sure that they advance the interests of the Global South, sitting face to face with the Global North. They're all there. I must say that I'm making this plea in part because currently I chair the board of the South Center. Last time the last time we met was in September. So we have to look at the totality. What's the work that has been done in the last 6 months? What are the issues that have been negotiated in Geneva? What have been the positions of the South? Have they advanced the interests of the South? What is it more that needs to be done? Who else should be engaged in the world in order to assist us in this daily battle that the countries of the South are engaging every day to achieve these objectives that have been set in important meetings such as this Cape Town Conversation. So I wasn't asked to say, to move a vote of thanks. So I'm not moving any vote of thanks. But really expressing appreciation for all of the inputs that have been made. If I'd been asked, well, maybe I will be asked, Ambassador Suklal, they might ask me, next time we have another session like this, I would reduce the number of sessions. Not 22, maybe 11, maybe 10, maybe 8, maybe 3. There are certain principal challenges that the countries of the South are facing. In a very practical way. I was saying yesterday on Friday, when I was speaking at the opening here, that there are countries of the South who have said, let us bring back to the global agenda this notion of a new international economic order that was agreed by the United Nations General Assembly, but died. And one of the reasons it died was a very interesting summit of the North and the South, which took place in Mexico, in Cancun, in 1981. And one of the interesting inputs made in that summit was by President Reagan. In these speeches that are on the internet. And you had the leadership there, 20, 25 people, North and South. Indira Gandhi was there, Reagan was there, Trudeau Sr. was there. And you read the speech by President Reagan. And President Reagan was basically saying, what the United States believes in is a free market. And this is how it operates. So this idea of yours of a new international economic order can't fly. And that's part of what killed that. I'm saying countries of the South are now raising it again. Because next year is the 50th anniversary of the adoption of the UN Declaration on the new international economic order. Does it make sense to say, let's raise that question? Because it's a radical proposition. The global economy continues to try to function in a particular way, which does not necessarily advantage many countries of the South. We need this other approach. And Reagan says, no, we don't. The market will solve all these problems. I imagine that as our colleagues raise this technical question, as they have raised it, again, let's resurrect the new international economic order. President Biden is likely to respond in the same way as Reagan. We need to discuss that as the countries of the South. If we go that route, the last thing point I'd like to make is, as part of the work that was done, for instance, by the G77 plus China, and all of that, it was then agreed that the WTO, you'll remember this, to have the Doha development round. It's very related to the new international economic order. Let's have the Doha development round. And all of us know what happened. The Doha development round to attend to the matters of development so that the international trade system focuses on this matter. Is it achieving development? You remember it was adjourned without any decisions because there could be no agreement. So the demands of the South with regard to the reconstruction of the international trading system so that it addresses this matter of development, it got paralyzed. One of the issues you remember was a matter of food subsidies by the developing countries, which we were refusing to remove. And in the end, the Doha development round was adjourned sine die. That means a demand, a very important demand of the countries of the Global South. The decision was, with regard to your demand, we'll consider it another day. What day? Sine die. But thanks to everybody for their participation. I think this great richness, rich information that has been gathered in this short period, we must make sure that it feeds into this process of the continuing struggle, daily struggle, to make sure that the demands of the South actually emerge victorious. But thanks to everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, President. May I now invite Max from the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, he's the CEO, to deliver a short vote of thanks.
Mr. President, we are adjourning this meeting, and we are not adjourning it sine die. We will meet again here next year in November. But on behalf of the hosting organizations, the ORF, G20, and the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, we really want to sincerely thank all of you for taking time to be with us today, yesterday, and the day before yesterday. I think all of us are here to make a solemn commitment. That commitment is to expand the frontiers of human dignity. As we do that, all of the deliberations that we've been having, we must make a concrete plan to make sure that in the end, they make life better for the people of the Global South. We thank President Sirleaf Johnson for patiently being with us all of this time, but also providing us with valuable insights on some of the troubling issues of our continent. I'm not sure, President Nasheed, if there is you can't go back to the presidency in Maldives. This president has got tremendous amount of energy, and I think it's still required in the leadership. But thanks a lot for being here to give gravitas to this occasion. But we thank for your insights. We wish to thank the policymakers that are here, the diplomats, former ministers and ambassadors who remained with us throughout this event. We also thank the South African government led by Minister Naledi Pandor for helping us not only in terms of the speeches, but the preparations that we have undertaken. In this regard, she had deployed Ambassador Suglal to be part of our organizing committee. We actually did not have any glitches as far as the visas and the travel is concerned. And thanks a lot, Ambassador Suglal. And I think now you're part of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation if they fire you at DERCO. We also want to thank the organizers, especially our steering team, led by Shub and Pulkit, that have been here not only this time, but on various occasions preparing this. They have been joined in that steering committee by Khoitse One and Lukanyo, and I think they've done a sterling job together with their colleagues in the foundations. This event would not have been successful without material support. We thank the Asia Group. We thank the Melnichenko Foundation. We thank the United Nations, my dearest brother Nelson, for coming at a very short notice to input on the agenda and on the support. We will thank the Global Health Strategies, an important partner to fighting the greatest inequities and to improving the health and well-being of many of our citizens, for their support. We were also joined by our strategic partner as a foundation, ABSA, which is a Pan-African bank, which is not only now dealing only with finance and credit problems, as it was raised by Governor Tito Mboweni, but they are committed to be a partner in financing for development in our continent. All our VIPs were driven in style by BMW, and we are grateful to them for the support that they have provided. All of these partners are joining all of you to be members of our global community that we will be working together with for the next foreseeable future. Our friends and partners in the media for loyally covering these events, and I know it's painful to some of them because we were not dealing with dramatic issues, but we were dealing with issues of depth and insight. But these issues are important, as President Mbeki has said. This gives us an opportunity as the citizens of the Global South to influence the global agenda. I want to pay special tribute to my brother Shamir. I haven't, every time I spoke to him and tried to find where he is, he's never in Delhi, but everywhere else in the world. I bet he's rushing now to get to Dubai. And there's an interesting thing, Mr. President, between ourselves and Shamir. When we met, he says, let's discuss the principle of Ubuntu. And we went into some detail in this discussion of the principle of Ubuntu. And in the end, we made a commitment that we are brothers and we will be each other's keeper. And the contract that was put before us by lawyers to sign, we threw it away. And he says, I trust you. I said, I trust him. I'll take a risk in you. He says he will take a risk in me. And I think these are some of these very, very important principles in terms of how we work. But as I sit down, speaking like a politician, I really want to go back to really thank President Mbeki for his patience, for his generosity of sharing knowledge with us, of providing the necessary guidance. In the 3 minutes that he was on stage, he has actually reformulated how are we going to work going forward. And I think the number of issues that he's raising are critical, and as a team, we will take those into account. One of the complaints President Mbeki is making is the long list of topics that we need to deal with. Anga, can you come on stage? If you're talking about the long list of things, President Mbeki is accused number 1. So I have here for my brother Shamir a book that we have just concluded as a foundation. And that book covers letters that President Mbeki wrote from 2001 in January to December 2004. And every Friday, there's a letter that he has produced. So we have compiled those letters into a book form, and we're going to hand over. This is the book is going to be launched at the beginning of next month. There's only one copy that is available, and this is the copy that we hand over as a sign of our friendship and solidarity. So once again, any one of you that I might have not mentioned by name, it's not deliberate. But we thank our speakers, we thank our moderators, we thank all of you for making this event the success that it has been. And I wish all of you that you can travel safe back home. And some of you that still wants to enjoy the fairest Cape, you are welcome now, not as participants, but as tourists in this region. We know for a fact that we will meet at this time next year. For now, I'm going to disappear from the stage and ask my colleague Pulkit and Shub to give us the orders as to what is going to happen next. Thank you very much. You've been such a great audience.
Thank you so much, Max. The final word goes to my colleague Pulkit. You all know her, you've received her emails, you've seen her everywhere, but now is her turn on the mic. Pulkit, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be echoing a lot of what Max already said, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. For many of us, 2023 has been a whirlwind year. Under the G20 Presidency of India, for us as the Think 20 Secretariat, ORF hosted nearly 70 convenings in India and abroad. For us, all of this has culminated in us being here in Cape Town today. We could not have thought of a better way of concluding Think 20 India's year. This gathering would not have been possible without the hard work and dedication of several folks. The number one being our treasured partners at the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. I want to give a special shout out to Max, Lucanio, Hoitsione, Anga, and the entire team. Our gratitude also extends to the entire team at DERCO under the leadership of Minister Pandor and Ambassador Suklal. This conference would not have been possible without all of their support over endless nights. There's a lot of people that have worked behind the scenes. We want to give a special shout out to everyone at CTICC, at the AV Network, everyone that's worked with us over the past couple of months. We also want to thank our partners who made this possible. And I also want to give a special shout out to Samir Saran. He's the reason we all work as hard as we do. And he's the reason why everything at ORF is a success. A special thank you and sincere appreciation to President Mbeki and, of course, President Nasheed and President Sirleaf Johnson for joining us over the past 3 days. And to the delegates who have joined us from over 60 countries. We hope that the past 3 days were exciting, engaging, and enlightening. Even though today marks the end of the inaugural edition of Cape Town Conversation, we do not intend for this to be a one-off. In true ORF fashion, we will come back bigger, better, and stronger. I hope you all have a great trip back home, and we'll see you all next year. Thank you.